Units were overrun, entire regiments swallowed up. Order and discipline collapsed.
And we will find out in a moment that it was all Napoleon's plan.
Right?
And he poisoned Augereau, so he will be unwell. So he will march straight to for the cannons. Welcome back, everyone.
This is Veronica.
And I'm Valdemar.
And we are watching today, apparently, the best video in the series from the Napoleon series.
Yeah,
according
Battle of Eylau.
That one.
Yeah, you hyped up this episode a lot in the comments in the previous videos. You were like, this is the creme de la creme. This is the best. This is my favorite episode. And I will be honest, I got hyped up.
I am also very, very, very high up. Just a small note for everyone, because I know this is an extremely emotional subject to everyone. There was a lot of discussion whether we should watch this one or the one Eylau first, the video that is next in the chronological order. I've read all of your arguments. I took them into account, and we've decided we're just going to follow the chronological order that Epic History TV made, because that's what most of you agreed with. I know that there's apparently there's one line that's a spoiler, and then it's not entirely perfect, these two videos, because they were made at different points in time. But we are sticking with the chronological order, and we will also read your comments. So if we need to know anything else, you can let us know. Yeah,
I think we are still during the Fourth Coalition, the conflict.
Yes.
And the last time Napoleon was not in the spotlight, it was his one of his leaders, commanders.
You
You remember, really?
It started with D.
Okay. No, I don't remember the name, but he was the one that defeated the enemy, the major forces. So maybe today is the day for Napoleon. And you said that it is your favorite episode of the series. So yeah, I'm very excited.
Me too. And it's also quite short, so I think it's going to be short and sweet. And I think there's going to be a lot happening.
And I think he fights with the Germans here. So, as a Polish person.
Always makes us happy.
Yeah, it's it's a bonus. I think it's about the Germans, because they were planning something against Napoleon in the previous episodes, right?
Yeah. And then everyone was telling us that we were nearing the campaigns in Poland as well. So.
Ooh, all right.
Okay.
Ready?
Let's go. Ready or not?
January 1807. French Emperor Napoleon Bonaparte, victor of Ulm, Austerlitz and Jena, was near the height of his powers. His Grande Armée had swept all before it. Now in the depths of a bitter Polish winter, he sought the final victory that would make him master of Europe.
It's not that cold in Poland. Come on.
It was that cold at that time.
Supported by the remains of the Prussian army.
Oh, it's Białystok!
But many months of campaigning had exhausted even his toughest veterans. Most had not seen France in years, and the war in Poland seemed to offer only freezing mud, hunger, and a stubborn enemy who did not know when he was beaten.
Not the Polish
At
people.
Pultusk, the Russians had fought courageously and thwarted.
Sorry, I'm gonna stop immediately. I'm gonna not do that the whole video. But you guys were right. You know us really well. Because we've been with this series for so long, and I love this series. It's one of my favorite things that we watch, if not the favorite one. And now they're saying Polish names. It's such a strange feature that human minds had. There's literally no reason to be excited, but I'm very excited. Pultusk, I know where that is.
Kind of sad. They're like, there was nothing else to offer, just a harsh winter, bitter condition.
At the time, there was no Poland, so this is why.
Oh, yeah. There were Germans everywhere, so yeah.
So it's not our fault.
This would be the time of their lives if this was Poland at this time.
Yes, exactly.
Napoleon's first attempt to outmaneuver their army. But another opportunity would soon emerge. Command of the Russian army had recently passed to General Levin August von Bennigsen. Despite his German name and Hanoverian roots, he was a veteran of 34 years
must be confusing for
the
troops.
Imperial Russian Army. On the 27th of January, with 77,000 Russians and 13,000 Prussians, Bennigsen launched a surprise winter offensive, targeting Marshal Ney's exposed 6th Corps. But Ney escaped, and Bernadotte's 1st Corps fought a successful rearguard action at Moringen. Now Napoleon would turn the tables on Bennigsen. As soon as he'd learned of the Russian advance, he'd begun planning a grand encirclement of the enemy. Suddenly, it was the Russians who were exposed. But Bennigsen got wind of Napoleon's trap just in time and began a hurried withdrawal.
Lots of things are happening, right?
Right. There's a lot to follow.
5 days of relentless marching followed, with Marshal Murat's vanguard nipping at the Russians' heels all the way.
Flamboyant Marshal Murat.
Apparently we will learn about how flamboyant he is in the Marshal series.
Guard, ably commanded by Prince Bagration, the French could not break through. The pursuit continued, even as temperatures plummeted. To the north, Ney shadowed Lestocq's Prussian Corps, while Soult's 4th Corps followed the Russian rearguard to the small East Prussian town of Eylau.
Just to be clear, I believe, and I think I'm correct, that this is... the name does not tell anything to me, and I think it's not a Polish city at this point. I think it's the part of Russia, the Königsberg or Kaliningrad.
Yeah, the name does not sound remotely Polish. So
yeah, but I noticed on the map that it was close to Königsberg. So this is the part of the Kaliningrad region.
Okay.
This small part of Russia that is in Europe.
Yeah.
In Central Europe for some reason.
On the afternoon of the 7th of February, Marshal Soult's troops advanced up the icy road to Eylau. They found it held by General Barclay de Tolly's Russian division, entrenched along a line of fences, ditches, and barricades.
Very Russian names, all
Just
those commanders.
before dusk, confused combat began around the town's cemetery. More and more troops were sucked into the bitter fighting. The French took the cemetery with a bayonet charge, but then had to hold it against a determined Russian counterattack, led by Barclay himself, who was seriously wounded by grape shot.
It was a nice painting.
Vicious street fighting continued well into the night, but the French ultimately prevailed, with the loss of 4,000 casualties on each side.
Jesus, and on such a small space as well.
Soldiers and officers alike were astonished by the savagery of the engagement.
Yeah,
Right?
a lot of casualties.
For what? A battle around one
As
cemetery?
darkness fell, temperatures dropped dramatically.
At least it's convenient.
Many of the wounded froze to death where they had fallen.
Ugh.
The French ransacked Eylau for food and firewood. Many Russian soldiers had to sleep in open fields, wrapped only in their greatcoats, forbidden to light fires. That night, Napoleon's greatest concern was that the Russians would slip away under cover of darkness, robbing him of the decisive battle he craved. He need not have worried. Bennigsen was done running. Here, at Eylau, the Russians would make their stand.
Ooh. Okay.
I am pumped.
And straight to business.
Day 2, yeah. Okay.
The paintings are very nice in this video, right?
Yes. A vast hurricane of death. Jesus.
Before dawn,
It's so atmospheric
Napoleon
with
was on
the...
Eylau's cemetery knoll, trying to make out the Russian lines through his telescope.
I may be mistaken, but I think it's like the first time the battle is during the night.
At least it's the first time that it's portrayed like it's happening during the night.
It could
Yeah,
have
we had
been-
fog, we had rain, I think there were parts in the Italian campaign that were like at dark, but yeah.
Yeah, the things were happening during the night, but the effects, especially, I think
The
it's
effects
the first
are
time.
amazing. Like, it's such a tiny thing, but it's really cool. And with when they were lighting the fires as well, and you can
Yeah.
see the fires. I remember that I've said that before. That like, oh, we can see the fires. So something must have happened at night before, because I just remember saying that. But this also makes me think. I don't know if anyone played it. There's this There's this Polish studio that has the game This War of Mine. That you might know, but they also have
11-bit studios.
Yeah, but they also have the game Frostpunk. I don't know if you've ever played it. If you like strategy games, you should, because it's awesome. But this looks like Frostpunk.
I never played Frostpunk,
You
but
should.
this War of Mine is great.
He was surprised by what he saw. 67,000 Russians packed into 2 great lines along a 3-mile front, with well-defended villages anchoring both flanks. Open ground lay between the 2 armies, providing a clear field of fire for Bennigsen's 400 guns, a huge amount of artillery for an army of the age.
Yeah.
Napoleon had Soult and Augereau's depleted corps,
Yeah, Napoleon
plus
usually had
the
like
Imperial
30 or
Guard
something.
and Murat's reserve cavalry, just 45,000 men and 137 guns.
Yeah, I remember that in the previous episode it was about they were counting guns and it was in the hundreds. I mean, not in the hundreds, but in hundred and something.
Yeah.
And 400, I can't imagine he can win this. 400 guns. And
Yeah,
he has-
it's just almost it's 3 times as many.
it's like 445,000. It's one gun for 450.
Or more or less.
Yeah, more. I won't do the math publicly.
But Napoleon was expecting Davout's 3rd Corps, 15,000 men, to arrive at any moment, in perfect position. to
36
fall
is
on
not
the
that
Russian
many.
flank. At dawn, as French troops were still getting into position, hundreds of Russian guns opened a massive bombardment. In Eylau, there was chaos.
Yeah.
As round shot crashed through buildings and tore through men.
Poor civilians that lived there.
French guns soon answered the Russians in kind. It was the largest combined artillery bombardment the world had yet seen. It lasted nearly 3 hours.
3 hours of just bombing each other at
While
that time.
Bennigsen had quantity, French crews were more experienced, and against the densely packed Russian lines, they couldn't miss.
And I might be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that the winter condition helped for the artillery bombardments, because the problem with the artillery, still I think, but especially in those times, was that it overheated quickly, and
Oh, really?
you had to cool it out.
Cool it down.
Cool it down, yeah. But during the winter, it's easier, it's faster for it to
Oh,
cool
I did
it
not
down.
know that. Okay.
So I guess you could fire more often.
So the one
More
time the
frequent.
winter was actually the friend of the enemies of Russians.
No, the Russians, because
Well,
they
both
have
as well.
they have 400 guns.
Yeah, true.
And they can fire from them.
Yeah, but they said the French people were more experienced, so.
Yeah, but it's still 400 guns.
Meanwhile, Davout's 2 leading divisions arrived on the battlefield, dangerously placed on the Russian left flank. But before they could attack, Prince Golitsyn struck first with his cavalry brigade. Davout's veterans threw back the horsemen with disciplined fire. Golitsyn's charge, however, bought time for General Davout to reorganize his defensive line to face the new threat. When the Iron Marshal attacked around 8 a.m., he found the enemy entrenched on a ridge with formidable artillery support. Davout's lead division was mauled, suffering 1,500 casualties as it was thrown back.
It's the first time that they're just.
This check on Davout alarmed Napoleon.
Yeah.
He feared the Russians might withdraw before his trap could close.
He's thinking only about one
It
thing.
was, he decided, the battle's critical moment. Orders flew out to Marshal Augereau's 7th Corps and General Saint-Hilaire's division. They were to launch a frontal attack against the enemy. At all costs, the Russians' escape must be prevented.
So he wasn't even concerning at one point that they might lose.
Yeah, he was just like, they are not gonna run away. Like he doesn't even, it doesn't even compute for him that we might lose.
But I wonder if it was just his ego talking, or was he really that certain of a victory for some reason?
Yeah, even though despite these giant odds.
Yeah.
Because the way he's looking at it, it seems like, okay, this entire division failed. Oh, that just means they now have a route of escape. But I am not concerned about 15,000 men that were my reinforcements that are just now scattered, with a tenth of it being casualties. Strange, right?
I wonder what is the reason for that.
The 49-year-old Marshal Augereau had been with Napoleon since his first command in Italy and the brilliant campaign of '96. But he was deeply unwell that morning. At 10 a.m., strapped to his horse, he led forward the 12,000 troops of 7th Corps, just as heavy snow began to fall. With visibility down to a few feet, Augereau's divisions drifted off course, straight into the murderous artillery duel. French and Russian cannonballs tore through their ranks. Augereau's men pushed on doggedly, but as they neared the Russian line, the blizzard suddenly lifted.
Oh, and they are exposed now.
One division found itself facing 70 Russian guns at a range of just 30 yards. Seconds later, its forward ranks were obliterated by Russian canister.
Jesus.
Another French division broke through the enemy line, only to be surrounded on 3 sides by Russian bayonets and annihilated.
How are they gonna win this?
Augereau's horse was killed under him, leaving him badly injured. As the survivors of his corps stumbled back the way they'd come, Russian cavalry and infantry surged forward. Units were overrun, entire regiments swallowed up. Order and discipline collapsed. One of the few units...
And we will find out in a moment that it was all Napoleon's plan.
Right?
And he poisoned Augereau, so he will be unwell. So he will march straight for the cannons.
To maintain order was the 14th Infantry, nicknamed the Brave for its heroic role at Rivoli 10 years before.
Yeah.
But now they were outnumbered and surrounded. The regiment resisted bravely, but was cut to pieces, suffering 75% casualties and the loss of its Eagle standard. In the space of just 30 minutes, the Russians inflicted 5,000 casualties on Augereau's 7th Corps.
Oh my god.
Effectively, it had ceased to exist. It was one of the worst battlefield disasters of the Napoleonic Wars. For the French, Eylau was no longer a fight for victory,
but
a struggle for survival.
So it was Eagle.
What happened there?
Winter happened.
From Eylau's cemetery knoll, Napoleon watched the catastrophe engulfing Augereau's corps. He knew he must stabilize the situation immediately and buy time to reorganize his center, and for Davout's corps to
Davout
arrive
is the
in
one
force.
who won before.
Okay.
So the Emperor turned to Murat and his large cavalry reserve. It was a desperate gamble. The horses were tired and suffering from the cold.
Look on this horse.
Outnumbered,
Like, oh my god. And I could have been dragging in a wagon somewhere in the farm, on a farm.
But the flamboyant, apparently fearless Marshal Murat was undaunted. He assembled 40 squadrons of cavalry, 5,000 dragoons and cuirassiers, and led them forward. So began one of the legendary cavalry charges of the Napoleonic Wars.
That's a very beautiful
Unable
painting.
to move much faster than a walk due to the terrible conditions, Murat's cavalry nevertheless presented a formidable wall of men, horses and steel. General Grouchy's dragoons, in the lead, drove back the advancing Russians. Davout's steel-clad cuirassiers
Oh, look, they're just tearing
then
into them.
thundered
it's cavalry.
forward on their giant horses. Finding a gap between two Russian divisions, they used it to pry open the enemy line. With seemingly unstoppable momentum, the riders surged forward. But it could not last. As they neared Bennigsen's headquarters, a Russian battery blasted the French horsemen with canister.
Yeah, 400 guns, you know, it's gonna be difficult to
Davout
hit.
himself was mortally wounded. French momentum was lost. As the Russian counterattack began, Murat ordered his squadrons to regroup and pull back.
Okay.
He almost didn't make it. The Russian 4th Division had moved to block his escape. Seeing this, Napoleon ordered Marshal Bessières to lead forward the Guard cavalry. These were 2,000
They're really throwing
of the
everything that
finest
they have at them.
cavalry in Europe. And to cheers of Vive l'Empereur, they advanced into the whirling mass of shot and snow.
I wonder how he was able to see all of that, the Napoleon.
Yeah, I just thought about that as well. Like, how did he see that they cut off his escape route? Because he said seeing that.
I mean,
Did he get
yeah,
information of it? Or?
No, he is using the telescope.
Yeah, but how well?
They said before that the visibility was very pure because of the snow. So, I don't know. Maybe the snow stopped because they said that the snow
Cleared
stopped.
before, yeah.
When Colonel Lepic saw his men ducking, he called out, "Heads up, by God! Those are bullets, not turds."
That's quite a quote.
Chasseurs of the Guard charged down the first Russian infantry square they met, scattered the enemy's gunners, and cut out a path for Murat's retreating squadrons. The French charge at Eylau would go down as one of the boldest, most desperate military maneuvers of the age. The losses were terrible in men and horses, but it succeeded in its mission. The Russian advance had been stopped in its tracks, and the initiative had swung back to Napoleon.
Well, with his 10 men left. No, not very rosy indeed.
Marshal Davout's 3rd Corps, the famed heroes of Auerstedt 4 months before, had now arrived in sufficient force to launch a full-scale assault. Anticipating this, Davout withdrew to a new defensive line on the Kriegerberge, a dominating height perfect for artillery.
But you know, one thing that I must say is that this is like the first time that we see that the enemy of Napoleon is, I don't know if he is as skilled as Napoleon, but he is definitely competent one, right?
Yeah.
There is no mistakes like usually before.
With the Austrians especially. Like, they kind of started running away, then they changed their mind, then they were running away again, then someone forgot, someone was late, someone didn't do what they were supposed to do.
Yeah, exactly. And this is like the first time the video is already, you know, we are halfway through the video and there is no mistakes that he did. Like,
yeah, they are expecting them to try to outflank them. Right now they are looking for like good positions for their artillery.
It's like a
Battle
chess,
of Titans.
It's like a chess game.
Yes.
They are doing that, then they are preparing for that, you know. They are attacking on the right wing, they are preparing their left wing.
2 hours of chaotic fighting followed, with every French advance challenged by a fierce Russian counterattack. But supported by dragoons and Saint-Hilaire's division, 3rd Corps slowly ground down the enemy. Bennigsen was forced to send in his last reserve, Kaminsky's 14th Division. Supported by cavalry, it drove the French from Klein-Sausgarten and across the fields beyond until its own advance was checked by French artillery. When Davout resumed his attack at 3 p.m, the Russian line buckled. The Kriegerberger was taken. So too Bennigsen's headquarters at Auklappen. Bennigsen scraped together enough units to improvise a new defensive line.
Yeah,
But
he's
French
definitely competent
guns,
one.
hauled up to the Kriegerberger, opened up a devastating fire. The French pressure was irresistible. The Russian flank would surely collapse at any moment, handing Napoleon the decisive victory he so desperately sought. All that was required was one final push.
But we are not there yet.
Yeah.
Something's going to happen. Oh. But they are not that many, right? There are 50,000 of them.
Well, at this point, that's...
Yeah.
Early that morning, Bennigsen had sent urgent orders to Prussian General Anton von Lestock to join the main army with his...
What's with those names? Like you have German names in the Russian army,
The French names
names
in
the
the
German army.
Yeah.
Sorry, Prussian army. And there was one Russian name in the French army. Like there was the Denis something.
Yeah. Are you guys not getting confused? Davout. Yeah.
war as quickly as possible. Although nearly 70, Lestock was still as energetic as
70?
he'd been serving under Frederick the
70
Great,
and he's on the horse
and was
fighting.
assisted by a highly capable chief of staff, Colonel Gerhard von Scharnhorst. Lestock's corps, 9,000 men, was 8 miles northwest of Eylau, closely watched by Marshal Ney's 6th Corps. His orders were to prevent the Prussians linking up with the Russians at all costs. But by force-marching his troops along frozen, hilly country roads, Lestock was able to bypass
Country
Ney's
roads.
blocking force.
No.
To Bennigsen's joy, by early afternoon, the Prussians had reached Schmödeten. With his left flank crumbling, there was no time to lose. At 4 p.m., Lestock's Prussians charged forward.
Yeah, they are fresh.
By now,
Gives you
Davout's
energy
men had
warm,
been
they've just
marching
left
and
their
fighting
warm
for many
fence.
hours and were utterly spent. They managed a few ragged volleys before they turned and ran.
Yeah, the smartest thing to do, probably.
Russian cavalry followed in pursuit. Marshal Davout, with just one intact division left, prepared to make a stand on the Kriegerberger. "The brave," he shouted, "will find a glorious death here."
But a death nevertheless.
Fortunately for Davout, the enemy's attacks were poorly coordinated, and his 40-gun battery inflicted terrible losses.
Okay, at
Yeah.
least, again, we have a little bit...
Russians are kind of related to Austrians,
Yes.
so you...
But at this point, like, I know we have like 7 minutes of the video left. I have no idea how this is going to turn around.
Yeah, I think Napoleon has to win this.
Yeah, he has to win this, and then like he has to still survive with some men.
Yeah, because, you know, remember, casualties, that doesn't mean that they are
No,
all
they
dead.
can be good for fighting again in some time, right?
Yeah, soon. I don't know if soon, but at some point.
Around 5:30, as dusk fell, Ney's corps arrived in pursuit of the Prussians and took Schmödeten. This new threat forced Bennigsen to call off his attack on Davout. And as darkness descended, the day's slaughter finally came to an end.
All day they were fighting.
Since Napoleon had crowned himself emperor in 1804, every campaign, every battle he'd waged, had ended in brilliant success. No longer. Bennigsen, learning the true scale of his army's losses and its critical shortage of ammunition, withdrew overnight.
So what he didn't want to happen
The French
happened.
were left holding a frozen, corpse-strewn battlefield, allowing Napoleon to claim a victory. But in reality, Eylau had been a murderous slaughter
That's how it
without a
ends.
winner. As Marshal Ney exclaimed on seeing the battlefield, "What a massacre!" and without result. Exact casualty figures are unknown due to the chaos and conditions of the battle and the scale of loss. But it is likely that the Russians lost 20,000 men, killed, wounded or captured. The French, perhaps as many as 25,000.
More.
And remember that the battles before it was like 1,000 or 500 or...
thousands of French veterans, the victors
Yeah.
of Ulm, Austerlitz and Jena, met their end on the snowy fields of East Prussia.
Yeah, like very experienced army.
Napoleon's Grande Armée would go on to achieve many more great victories.
Oh,
Spoilers.
spoilers!
A crushing victory
la, la, la.
over Bennigsen's Russians at Friedland.
That's
4
maybe
months
that's the
later.
spoiler that people
Yeah, I think so.
tell us about.
But after the brutal losses of Eylau, it was never the same. Thank you to the artists Keith Rocco and Alexander Avrianov for kind permission to use their artworks in this video. Big thanks also to our old collaborator History March for creating the battlefield map used in this episode.
Yeah, we were
Okay.
saying, because we were really wondering in the past episodes, like where the paintings are coming from. Is he finding all of the old paintings, or is there AI? But really great work, right? I kind of want to check out
I
these
had no
guys.
idea that people are doing historical paintings nowadays.
Oh, they are. They're doing all sorts of things.
It's kind of like I kind of assume that it's something that we just have all those old paintings and we are using them.
Maybe it's because we use different social media, but like I still have Tumblr and stuff, so there's a lot of art there. So I know that people are still doing like paintings of everything.
Is it not a porn site?
Tumblr? No. Well, okay, this is not what this video is about. Yes, it was at one point, and then they banned the 18 plus content, and then it died.
Okay.
Like nothing else was there anymore, and then like they said, okay, I guess it's fine again, but no one wanted to come back. But like right now, I'm on it, not on because there's a lot of content for like fandoms and then
Okay.
like art and writing and stuff.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, this was. Yeah, I know why you like this episode so much.
It was like the emotions and the music was perfect in it when they were losing and it was dark and the quotes and the music, it was really
And
moving.
finally, it was something different,
Yes.
Finally, not another episode of Napoleon again winning.
Yeah, and it's I was interested to see when we started this series, like how he will, like the whole journey of his, like how he will grow to power, and then what's gonna happen that will lead to the ultimate mistakes. Because I assumed it would be a gradual change, and like we can kind of see that, like he was really full of himself. I guess they didn't comment on it on the video, but like he was certain that like the only thing he has to worry about is Russians leaving. I mean, yes, that's what happened in the end, and maybe if they stayed, they could have, destroyed more of the troops. Maybe they could have won. I don't know. Maybe that's the worst thing that could happen. But
I wonder if this will kind of wake him up for the future battles, because before, like the narrator said, since he crowned himself emperor, he was just winning, battle after battle, brilliant victory after brilliant victory.
yeah, and he came to
Basically
believe that
with-
he's, blessed by God, and he's just supposed to win all the time.
Yeah, and now maybe this will be a moment for him to reconsider and be like, okay, I need to figure something else.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, we know from this video that he wins the next one, but why does he win? Does he just get lucky again, or does he? I mean, he doesn't only get lucky. Don't get me wrong, but like,
And also he lost, like he said, he lost many of his veterans, and
Yes.
that was like from what we have seen until this point, this was the thing that gave the French upper hand many times.
and especially
They were
since they were
experienced.
using the corps, then we need the experienced people to be part of the corps.
Yeah,
and
yeah, and
for this system, it's
they
crucial.
were disciplined, they
Yeah.
were well organized, they were experienced, and this was something that was giving them an upper hand against the enemy.
Yeah.
And now he lost 25,000 people from 45,000. Well, not maybe more, because it was 45,000 at the beginning, but then the Lace division from the west arrived, and the
Davout.
corps arrived, so it was more people, but like almost a half.
Yeah. At least we still have flamboyant Murat, so we can make a comeback.
I wonder what happens with Murat later.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there is an episode about him that we're gonna see at the end, right?
Yeah, at the end there is this about
about the marshals.
About the marshals, yeah. Oh, thank you for watching. It was
yes. Thank you for hyping us up. Good call, because there was indeed a lot to get hyped up for, and I'm also hyped up for the next one because the next one is apparently still also really good. All right.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching. We're gonna have to process that.
We'll
see
if you want to check out our movie channel, we have it. If you don't know it, we upload every Friday.
It's in the description box. You can find it there, and we already have 2 war movies there. We have the Hacksaw Ridge, and we have the Saving Private Ryan. Also, and we have 1917
too.
So there's a lot if you're into that you can watch with us. And I think they are also better than new reactions. So if you want to see like how we got better with editing and everything, that would be awesome. If you want to check it out.
Thank you, and have a good day.